Ich bin's, euer Nordmann. Was geht ab, Freunde? Und hier heißt es definitiv Achtung, Achtung. Also wer nicht komplett gespoilert werden möchte über die Version 2.0, sollte jetzt ausschalten. Weil wir haben hier den Bruder Echo. Er durfte tatsächlich alles schon spielen, vor allen. Und auch schon zeigen auf YouTube. Und das gucken wir uns jetzt an. Also, wenn du alles wissen willst, bleib dran. Vergiss nicht zu abonnieren und hau auf den Like-Button. Danke. Rein in das Ding.
Hey folks, it's Echo here. I am excited to share all the new features coming to 7 Days to Die Storms Brewing. The world has changed with new biome challenges, deadly storms, and a need to push through the biomes to find the means for survival. New foes have arisen and old enemies have evolved to threaten your progress. But you will also have updated skills and new masteries to aid your journey that will change how you build your character. Let's dive in with the world changes.
Krass.
If you're
Also er zeigt hier wirklich alles. Also das ist Wahnsinn.
anything like me and you enjoy skipping the forest biome at the beginning of a run and you just head out to, the snow or other biomes to get better loot, you're going to be in for a little surprise. As you cross the biome threshold, you'll see an indicator on the bottom left telling you how much time you have
Zeit
before
läuft
the
runter.
environment starts to
Eine
take its
Minute.
toll on you. The amount of time that you have will be relative to the biome that you're entering. So for the burnt
Alles
biome, you're
friert
going to
ein.
have 3 minutes, desert
Okay.
2 minutes, snow 1 minute, and then finally the wasteland, you will only have 30 seconds before that.
Das ist krass. Also im verbrannten Wald haben wir 3 Minuten, in der Wüste haben wir 2 Minuten Zeit, im Schneegebiet haben wir 1 Minute Zeit und im Wasteland 30 Minuten, 30 Sekunden. 30 Minuten. Also 3 Minuten, 2 Minuten, 1 Minute und 30 Sekunden.
That kicks in. This can be mitigated by unlocking biome badges, which will give you a little bit more time in the next biome. As the clock ticks down, the visual indicators will become more and more pronounced. Once that timer is out, you're going to take 1 damage per second, and this will continue until you escape the biome, take mitigating actions, which
Okay, 1 HP, also ein Schaden bekommst du, nachdem die Zeit abgelaufen ist. Dann hast du ja nochmal, wenn du voll live bist, 100 Sekunden.
they'll talk about in the progression, or there's the other option, but it's a little bit more messy. To survive long term, each biome will have a set of 7 challenges that you'll have to complete to be able to achieve a biome badge. You'll have to do this in order for each of the biomes to progress, and each subsequent level of the biome badge allows you access to the biomes prior. As a quick example, for the burnt forest biome, you'll need to wear any piece of
Er zeigt dafür, Burn Forest zeigt da jetzt auf jeden Fall, was alles gemacht werden muss.
non-primitive armor, harvest 5 mushrooms in the burnt biome, craft yourself a burnt smoothie, and there will be a unique smoothie for each of the biomes. All these can be crafted in your inventory with pretty modest materials. Drinking one of these smoothies will allow you to overcome the challenges of the biome for a limited amount of time to extend your survival there. This will really help you out, as the next challenge is to harvest 500 nitrate powder in the burnt forest biome. The next challenge is to kill 5 burnt zombies, and I should note that you don't have to do these in order, so it's not really next. You'll need to loot 5 containers, and the easiest ones to find are on the ground are going to be the nests or just junk that you see laying about. Finally, you're going
Und du musst halt die Zeit noch verbringen. Also im Grunde genommen die Rüstung, die Pilze, die Smoothies herstellen, bisschen was abbauen, Zombies töten, Loot-Container öffnen und die Zeit da verbringen, die 20 Minuten. Und das verhält sich halt die ganze Zeit so. Na gut.
You're gonna just need to survive for 20 minutes in the burnt forest biome, and you'll do this naturally as you're completing the rest of the challenges. Once your challenges are complete, you'll get an indicator to head to your local
Okay,
trader,
kriegst du
and then
vom
you'll be
Händler.
able to pick up your biome badge. After you hit complete, you'll get a screen telling you that you've unlocked the biome badge and that it will automatically install into your character screen. With your biome badge in place, you are now immune to most of the negative effects of the burnt biome, with the exception of storms, which we'll get to. So with these changes in place, you might be thinking, what if I just stay in the forest? Well, there's 2 good reasons why you're going to want to leave the forest. The first is that there's a loot cap on each biome. So if you're in the forest biome,
So, jetzt sagt er gerade, warum sollte man denn dann überhaupt aus dem Kiefernwald rausgehen, wenn man die Tocken oder die Bandage braucht? Geht natürlich ganz klar um die Loot Stage und man will ja auch irgendwann vernünftige Sachen finden. Du findest ja im Kiefernwald nicht alles.
your loot stage will be capped at 40, which is equivalent to kind of primitive type items.
Oh,
In the
er zeigt
burnt
dir
forest, your
Loot
loot
Stages.
stage cap will move up to 125, which is essentially tier zeros. In the desert, the loot stage will go to 165, which is tier 1. In the snow, it'll jump to 205, which is tier 2. And in the wasteland, there's essentially no cap, and it'll jump up to tier 3. As you unlock biome badges, it will give a modest boost to the loot stage of the previous biome. Beyond the loot cap differences, there's also going to be more of an affinity for certain types of ores and plants to be found in specific biomes. So in the forest, you'll have a higher chance for iron, as well as goldenrod, chrysanthemum.
Krass, war ein Video, also wirklich, das ist ja überdetailliert. Alles genau erklärt. Wahnsinn.
And cotton. In the burnt forest, you'll have potassium nitrate and mushrooms. In the desert, you'll have shale, but you'll also have aloe as well as yucca. In the snow biome, you'll have coal and blueberries. And then finally, in the wasteland, you'll have lead as well as the new resource, radiated mushrooms.
Oh, wir haben eine neue Ressource. Radioaktive Pilze. Okay.
Now that you have the basics of biome survival, let's talk about the new storms entering 7 Days to Die. Once you're past day 1 in any biome other than the forest, you can experience a storm. As an indicator, you'll hear the air raid sirens, and then you'll see a message saying storm warning, seek shelter with a countdown. When the countdown ends, you'll see one last grace period noted in the bottom left of your screen, and once that's over, you're going to start taking damage every 5 seconds. Both the grace period and the damage will be impacted by the biome that you're in. If you have the appropriate biome badge, you can go...
Also vom Biom ist es unterschiedlich, wie viel Schaden du da bekommst in dem Sturm.
Seek shelter in a building, and if not, you're pretty hosed and just need to flee the biome, because even if you go inside, you're still going to continue to take damage. One of my favorite things about the new storms is that they aren't just generic storms. You saw the flying cinders there in the burnt biome, and as you go to the different biomes, you're going to see that the graphics match the characteristics of the biome. If the storms or the biome progression doesn't sound like your cup of tea, the nice thing is that the fun pimps added in options in the basic menu for you to adjust those settings so you can play how you want. With every new update, Navigaine typically gets an overhaul, and this one's no different. They've moved a lot of the tier 5 POIs into the wasteland. The biome maps have been updated to support the new progression, and in line with that, they've updated trader locations, which will make them more accessible, similar to our random world gen map. In 2.0, we've got new zombies, updated zombie mechanics, and upgraded zombies. First up, we have a new addition to the snow biome, the Frostclaw. This gigantic blue-eyed Yeti has a unique attack. Once it sees you, it will pull a boulder out of the ground and toss it at you wherever you are. The movement and animations are looking really sharp on this one. I also found out very quickly you don't want to go toe-to-toe with these in close combat if you can avoid it, as they definitely hit pretty hard. Fresh to the air.
Oha. Der hat auf jeden Fall Kraft, die Frostklaue, würde ich sagen.
Reaches of the desert, we also have the Plague Spitter. Similar to the Frostclaw, the Plague Spitter also has a unique ranged attack. When it sees you, it will rear back and spit out a plague of locusts at you. The locusts can be killed, but they will continue to hover around your head until you do so, while the Plague Spitter closes in. This can quickly become problematic when your attention gets split, you're trying to manage different zombies, the locusts, as well as the Plague Spitter in front of you. And oh my! Zombies can now easily crawl through 1 meter spaces, and this has...
Also guck mal, wir gucken das jetzt Ganze seit 5 Minuten und was da schon für Änderungen kommen. Also wer die 2.0 hatet, der hat sie nicht mehr alle. Die ist geil. Die ist einfach nur geil. Come on.
A little bit of testing and they can actually squeeze in less than 1 meter space.
Oh, wow.
You might want to check your old horde bases before you trust them. That's exactly what I did, so I loaded up my base, the Switchback, just to see how the fighting position held up against the zombies on just a day 7 horde, just to keep things simple. And there we go, they popped right on through. And I thought for a second maybe that's a fluke, and then all of them just started jumping right on through. Lesson learned, the old staples won't necessarily work in 2.0. I'm going to be putting together a video covering some of my concepts of how to approach this up.
Machst eine Querstange rein und gut ist.
In terms of POI design, this 1 meter crawl also means that they can put zombies into 1 meter spaces, and additionally they can have triggers to allow multiple zombies to crawl out of the same hole. This means both that we can have some good surprises as well as reduce performance hits by having zombies continuously pour out of different locations without having them all active.
Ist das mit dem Zombie-Spawn, dass mehrere aus dem Loch rauskommen können?
But now we've got 2 new oncomers to the scene. On the left you can see the new tier of
Die finde
infernal
ich so
zombies, and
wild,
on the right the blue charge zombies. While both variants will have increased health and damage, they also have some additional characteristics. The Infernal Zombies are going to be more of your tanky zombies. Think of Big Mama, the Hawaiian, Cops, etc. They will do additional block damage, so those are the ones you're going to really want to watch out for on Horde Night. The Blue Charge Zombies are going to be more of your nimble type. Think Arlene, the Party Girl, or Steve.
Die werden
and then you're going to have
hart.
the largest chunk of zombies, which can be either Infernal or Charged. Now, the next question you're probably asking yourself is, when are these going to start showing
Das ist sehr, sehr interessant. Unten hat er Game Stage aufgeführt.
up? Well, before 100 game stage, you won't see them. Once you cross that threshold, there will be a 10% of the selected zombie to be one of the types, whether Infernal or Charged, which is available.
10%,
As your
okay.
game stage increases, so
100.
will the percentage chance for the Charged and Infernal to spawn.
Ab
going all the way up to
225%,
100% at
ab Game Stage
1500 game stage.
350%
One other thing to note is that
und
both these
1500,
variants
dann
will
kommen die
have
auf jeden
updated movement
Fall.
patterns, so you might be in for a few surprises.
Okay.
2.0 brought a lot of great changes to the attributes and perks in 7 Days to Die. I won't cover everything, but I'll try to hit the highlights. First off, let's start with Perception. On the left side, we got the 1.0 perks, and on the right, the 2.0. Lucky Looter has been removed from Perception and is now in a General Perks tab. On the 2.0 side, you'll see 4 perks that are highlighted in yellow. These are carryover 1.0 perks that previously had less than 5 levels, which have all been updated to have 5
Die haben
levels
halt mehr
now.
Punkte
This will be a
bekommen.
common theme that you see in all the 2.0 perks, that they'll all have 5 levels with the exception of the General tab. For some of the perks, it feels like their value was watered down because they got spread from, say, 3 to 5 levels, but for other ones, they added in some nice new benefits for that 4th and 5th level. Moving on, in each of the attributes, you're going to have a mastery. So for Perception Mastery, you're going to have 5 brand new perks. To get access to these, you're going to have level 6 in that attribute to get level 1 of the mastery, 7 to get 2, 8 to get 3, 9 to get 4, and then 10 to get 5. It takes dedication to the attribute, but the payoff is huge. You can see here for Perception, the first 2 levels gives you additional harvesting capabilities, but then we get into combat with spear and rifle primary attacks causing bleed, additional spear power attack when sprinting, and then finally the pinnacle one here, plus 50% damage with rifles. I've never been a rifle fan in 7 Days to Die, but this just might change my mind. So that's your first mastery that we're going to get into. I'll cover all the rest in a minute. Before we go off of Perception, though, I want to talk about Treasure Hunter, because it got a very interesting overhaul. In addition to what this perk did prior, the first 2 levels get plus 50% damage to dirt and plus 100% damage to dirt, respectively. That is not just when
krass,
you're
was
doing
da alles
buried
geändert
supplies,
worden
that
ist.
is
Wahnsinn.
all the time. And it just continues to get better with the top tier of it, adding extra weapons, armor, and rare items to buried chests. So who knows, buried supplies could be the new meta. In the strength tree, the heavy armor and Master Chef perk have been moved over to the general tab. We've got a new skill called Grand Slam, which gives a percentage chance to ragdoll enemies when doing sprinting power attacks with clubs, bats, and sledgehammers. Big and Fast, which increases your attack speed with strength-based weapons, went from 3 to 5 levels. And next we have Pack Mule, which has easily gone from F tier to S tier.
Nun wissen wir auch, warum das Update so lange gedauert hat.
This has become perhaps the most damage mitigating perk in the game. Each level in a Pack Mule gives you a 10% chance to absorb all damage when hit, up to essentially 50% damage mitigation at level 5. It has no impact to critical injuries like sprains or breaks, but otherwise is probably the best you're going to get for stopping damage. Next, I'm going to skip over Strength Mastery and cover Junk Miner first. This new perk is going to increase your harvesting of mining junk such as cloth and plastic. It'll give you 20% per level up to a total of 100% increase. Now let's jump back up to Strength Mastery. The first level is faster critical injury heal when holding a mining tool. Not that useful. The second one is
zeigt
kinda
wirklich
nice.
alles,
Gives you an
Freunde.
additional way to
Aber
gather
komplett.
brass. The third level of this isn't really that usable because you're never going to use pickaxes or shovels as weapons because they don't have associated perks with them. But the 4th and 5th levels are amazing. Headshots with clubs or sledgehammers have an additional 50% chance to dismember enemies at level 4. And then finally at level 5, kills with strength-based weapons grant 50% damage resistance for 10 seconds. This combined with Pack Mule would make you an absolute juggernaut.
Looking to skyrocket your YouTube channel? Let Sprizzy.
Es ist ja absoluter Wahnsinn, Freunde. Das ist ja kompletter Wahnsinn, was hier passiert ist. Also wirklich.
Pushed over to the general tab. Lightning Hands and Rule 1 Cardio have been moved from 3 to 5 levels. There's a new perk called Siphoning Strikes, which is going to pair with the overall Brawler concept. This one will grant you.
Das kann ich auch leider alles nicht so schnell übersetzen, Freunde. Aber da sprechen wir im Streamer Weekend nochmal drüber. Über diese ganzen Perks und Skills und so weiter. Dann natürlich auf Deutsch.
Infection for 2 real-world hours after recovering from an infection. Third level gives you a 10% chance to gain silver or gold from zombie kills. That's kind of an interesting one. And then the last 2 levels each give you 50 max health. In agility, medium armor has been moved over to the general tab. Whirlwind and Run and Gun have been moved from 3 levels up to 5. Parkour has been moved from 4 to 5 levels. We have a new perk called Hard Target, and this is yet another damage mitigating perk. When moving, you're going to take 10% less damage per level up to a total of 50% less damage at level 5.
Komplett verrückt, wie viel da überarbeitet worden ist.
The
Wahnsinn.
first level of this, leg hits have a 40% chance to instantly cripple enemies. Level 2 is a 20% faster reload with handguns. This is going to be really nice for your heavy handguns like the 44 and the Vulture that have smaller magazine sizes. Next, we have handguns cause bleeding. That is just going to be insane for this tree. At level 4, we have yet another damage mitigator. Every 60 seconds, you get to auto-deflect the first blow that you get hit with. Finally, at level 5, if you
Ich bin echt geschockt, ne? Ich bin ein bisschen geschockt, was da alles passiert ist.
an additional 25% damage. In the intellect tree, lockpicking has been removed and put over to the general tab. Calculated attack has been moved from 3 up to 5 levels, and daring adventure from 4 up to 5. And finally, we have intellect mastery, which might be your best if you want to rapidly progress. The first level of this isn't that big of a deal, 20% less damage and consume 20% less fuel.
Okay,
The next level, though, level 2 adds 25% chance to find a book, magazine, or schematic and loot. That is huge, and then you pair it with level 3, which adds 50% chance to gain 2 skill points when reading magazines. Now, if we pair this with a nerd outfit, which also gives plus 50% chance to get an extra skill point, you are now guaranteed to get 2 skill points for every magazine you read. Level 4 is going to make stun batons only take 2 hits to charge, and then level 5 is stun batons are always charged. This one is going to be absolutely hilarious for just launching zombies around the map in massive crowd control. So I've noted these as we've gone through, but here's your full list of general perks. Technically, light armor is new, as we didn't have that in 1.0, we just had medium and heavy. You'll also notice that the general perks have retained whichever levels they had, whether it's 3, 4, or 5 levels. If you want more details on the perks, old and new, I'm going to be doing a full breakdown and tier ranking of all of them that you can see linked up above. The Sledgehammer now has its own book series called Sledge Saga. Here's all the volumes in the series, but I want to focus on a few key ones. Number 3, Power Attack kills weaken and slow nearby enemies for 10 seconds. This is going to give you additional staying power in the thick of combat. Number 4 adds 25% more damage.
Geil, Punkt 3, Power Attack kann tatsächlich auslösen, dass die Zombies für 10 Sekunden langsamer sind.
Enemies below 30%, helping you finish them off. Number 5, gain double XP Sledgehammer headshot kills. This one will massively accelerate your progression, as it's almost impossible to miss with headshot kills.
Double XP für
Number 6 adds a 10% chance to knock enemies unconscious, so just take them out of the fight for a bit. And number 7,
also ist das jetzt
Sledgehammer
wohl
power attacks bypass 50%
die
of
Waffe,
armor.
wa?
And finally, the good old famous refill your stamina on a power attack kill. Overall, this is a huge boost for sledgehammers. Storm's Brewing introduces a new cosmetic mechanic, so that if you want to wear the nerd armor to get all the good bonuses here, you don't have to look like a nerd. From your character screen next to your picture, you'll have a new cosmetics button to click through, and in this screen you'll have 4 tabs, 1 for each armor slot. When you start a fresh run, you'll notice that the majority of your cosmetic slots here are grayed out, meaning that they are locked. To unlock a new cosmetic option, you simply need to go and scrap a piece of armor of the type that you would like to use.
Okay, man muss sie tatsächlich doch zerlegen, damit die dann in deinem Inventar drin sind oder in deinem Kleidungssystem.
All the biker gear, you can come back into the cosmetic window here, and you'll notice that the biker gear is now unlocked, so we can put our biker helmet. And actually, we can just say apply set if we click 1, and it will do the whole thing. Alternatively, you could go one piece at a time. Now we are able to run around as a badass biker with all the benefits.
Habe ich schon die ganze Zeit gesagt. Finde ich absolut überflüssig. Muss nicht sein.
Things we've been long waiting for. The first of which, you'll notice that the trees in the forest are more spread out, and that you'll see plants
Die
like that in
Bäume,
little patches here and there.
wunderschön.
It just gives it more of an organic feel. Also, you'll notice across all the biomes that the tree models have gotten an overhaul. In general, with this update, those who enjoy the outdoors are going to find a lot more to explore. There are just shy of 100 new wilderness POIs, and they span from caves to all kinds of other
96 Wildnis neue.
gems. And probably my favorite part about all of these is that they had unique level design, things that I had never seen before. You'll see some updates to the burnt forest. The idea is that this is years after the bomb had gone off, and so the forest is starting to regrow itself, so you see these little patches of green growing throughout. Another nice shift that you'll see both in the burnt forest as well as the wasteland. Previously, you'd have houses and POIs
Die Bäume sehen krass aus.
plopped randomly on the map. Now they have connecting roads that lead up to them all into these really neat little burnt out places like this that just feel like more logical remnants of the bombing. One really nice quality of life thing in the wasteland is that they have removed the mass quantity of cinder blocks so that you can drive a little bit more safely here. Hey.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
You got any of those brown paper bags? I'm so friggin' hungry. I need a brown paper bag. Just kidding. We've got Hobo Stew here has been redone. A number of the foods are now in actual graphical format when they're in your hand. So here's steak and potatoes. The number of the drinks are updated. So we've got yucca juice. We've got goldenrod tea, red tea, water. And then moving on from there, the cans all got a redo. So here is what your can of tuna looks like. Then we have our can of sham. You can see kind of
okay, die sehen aber schon geil aus, die Dosen, ne?
Here's a can of miso soup that you can check out. But there are some that weren't completely redone. So you're going to see some instances like the blueberry pie that's going to show up as this little parcel. So we got a number of things fixed in terms of what our food items look like. So you don't always have to, you know, chew on a brown paper bag. Additionally, there's animations that go with these. So if I'm eating my hobo stew, I kind of make it to my mouth. I mostly smear it on my chest, but you know, it's a lot better than we were at before. These all look nice and good. So for the cans, when you go to eat them, you will also see there's a animation. You'll pop the can open and then pour the can down your gullet. They've got shiny new icons for all the cans, as well as most of the drinks in the game. And then finally, we have updated animations for both the stools, including the painkillers and the vitamins and the antibiotics.
Okay.
You can say bye to the old quest markers. We've got these fancy new ones that look like makeshift mechanical beacons. Each type of quest will have an associated flag with it. And then the other really nice thing is if you're playing multiplayer and you have more than one player that has a quest for that POI, it'll show all the different flags for the types of quests that are available for that group. With every update, we get a handful of new POIs, and this one is no different.
Was das für eine Aufgabe ist, finde ich gut.
We have right around 25 new questable POIs, but the real story here is the 150-ish non-questable POIs. You'll see these in the form of wilderness fillers and remnants and all kinds of other pieces that make the world feel a little bit more real. So look forward to adventures in a lot of new locations. Speaking of looking forward, I am thrilled to jump into these two new tier 5s I'm going to show off here. Here's hybrid mining. This thing is humongous. Also for both of these two tier 5s, these would make excellent base takeovers for a massive compound, especially in a multiplayer type setup if you are willing to sacrifice a tier 5 POI just to have a huge head start. The second tier 5 we have to show off is Korea Rockworks. Much like the hybrid mining POI, this one is extremely extensive. It's got, I think, 3 or 4 different tiered layers to it, all of which have different doors and entrances. It looks like some of the pathing goes along the mineral processing lanes, but overall this looks like an extremely challenging and fun POI. And I think much like hybrid mining, it's got huge potential for base takeover, but you gotta be pretty ambitious. Finally, let's talk about some multiplayer enhancements for crossplay. The first update here brings back memories of my first experience with 7 Days to Die, and that was that I was playing with a bunch of friends in a LAN day, and we spawned across the world, and we spent the first 2 or 3 hours of the game dying just trying to get to each other. Now when you join on to a server or someone's game, you will have the option to spawn near a player, making it much easier to get started.
Das ist cool.
As of 2.0, 7 Days to Die will have Discord integration across all platforms. You can link your Discord account, send and receive messages, invite friends, and chat either in global or party channels without ever leaving the game. Additionally, you'll be able to
okay, also Quit ist jetzt unten rechts. Das Discord-Zeichen ist da und wir haben DLC. Das ist schon mal gut zu wissen.
See your friends in-game status and manage both Discord and game friends directly from the UI. Lastly, in multiplayer, the Fun Pimps have crossplay on dedicated servers working on all platforms and have passed the first round of certification. If certification approvals go well, we hope to see dedicated crossplay servers on stable release. In terms of performance, 2.0 really surprised me. You can check out the patch notes for all the changes made, but I'm going to focus on my experience. It's always hard to compare performance across different rigs, and I'm running a high-end setup, but I can tell you that even on my PC in the past, I have struggled in the city and especially during Horde Night. 1.0 was a solid jump up, but
ist einfach an Tag 700 und hat trotzdem so viel FPS. Oh, ich muss meine Kamera wegmachen, damit ihr das seht.
This is the first time that I've really seen 60 frames per second with the settings cranked up, and to the point that honestly, I hadn't even turned on the FPS meter until recording this because all my recording thus far, I haven't had an issue with frames. Along those lines, I have to give credit to the Fun Pimps as this has been the most stable experimental that I've seen. After 2 playthroughs to day 10 and about 500 gigs of footage to make this video,
guck mal, wie viel da los ist und trotzdem bleiben.
Hey folks.
Oi, da ist das geil. Sehr schön. Danke auf jeden Fall für dieses wundervolle Video. Und Freunde, was soll ich euch sagen? Das ist ja komplett verrückt. Okay, vieles davon wussten wir jetzt natürlich schon, aber jetzt wissen wir es im Detail. Und wir sehen uns morgen Abend im Stream. Ich freue mich. Haut rein, euer Nordmann.